everybody for coming, and I hope more people will be here because we did quite a lot of leafleting and postering. We got a big piece in the Echo. There's people expected to come down from Clondalkin because the subject for tonight's meeting is to save our bus services from the cutbacks that are being implemented by Dublin Bus. And the Clondalkin end of things is important because one of the buses that's going to be badly affected, as Owen will explain, and any of the other bus worker representatives that turn up, is going to be the 78A service. And the other service that's going to be hit very badly is the 206. That services Rossmore and Drumfinn and picks up a lot of elderly people from that area. So just to explain to people, this meeting is being hosted by the People Before Profit Alliance, of which I'm a member, and as you know, a candidate for this area, and Joan Collins, who's also a candidate for People Before Profit, and an existing councillor in the Drimnagh Crumlin end is here with me as well. I invited all the councillors here tonight, and I'm very happy to see Michael Conaghan from the Labour Party has arrived. I'm expecting Louise Minahan from Sinn Féin, and I have an apology, but we'll do his best to make it from Vincent Jackson. So the format of the meeting is a little bit unusual, and the reason for that is that we're living in unusual times and you never know what's going to happen in this country. And when we planned this meeting, I used to work in Dublin Bus myself, and I was branch secretary for the MBRU for a number of years, and I remember very clearly how well organised and how on the ball that job was when it came to protecting the services. But we're living in times now when all things that we have taken for granted are being hit by the government. And we would like to send out a clear message to the government that the people who should be paying for this crisis are the people who got us into it. The developers, the builders, the bankers, the very people that they're propping up and bailing out and protecting are the ones that are being looked after, and not the workers, the people who receive the service like us. Now, when the cuts were announced, I heard from the people I used to work with and colleagues of mine like Owen McCormick here, that the 78A was going to lose at least 20 departures a day from the timetable. Now, I rang the garage and I spoke to a manager in Cunningham Road, and he emphatically denied that. He did acknowledge, however, that the 206 that services the elderly community that lived down Drumfinn, Rossmore and Lough was completely being wiped out. And here, I'm going to quote him on this, here's what he said to me. Nobody uses that bus, and even if it was full on every journey, it wouldn't pay the rent. And that's the way he looks at it. A callous, sort of monetary calculation about a service that some people absolutely rely on, because as you know, it's a hell of a trip from the bottom of that part of Ballyfermot up to the main road where you can receive a bus service. So because of that and the cuts to the 78A, I invited bus workers and local community representatives to this meeting, and Antonia Murphy is here from the Carna Ward, who sits, I think, along with Michael, on a committee that discusses regularly about the bus service with Dublin Bus Management, and I think they should have a lot to say about this as well. However, in the meantime, about a week ago, a little more than a week ago, there was a significant development in terms of what's happening to working people in this country. I know many of you in this room will have stories, and I know from leafleting over the last few days that I've heard so many stories about people being made redundant, being laid off, having to take pay cuts, that it's just unbelievable the scale of what's going on at the moment. And as I said, it is working people who are being made to pay the price, not the bankers and the ones that made the millions out of the Celtic Tiger when it was doing very well. And when the Waterford Glass Crystal workers occupied their factory, took over the furnace to ensure that production was maintained there, or at least that they wouldn't be the fall guys for all the sins of their fathers, the employers, I was very heartened by that development. I thought this is what workers should be doing, resisting what's going on, taking over, taking control of their own lives, and saying to people, look, we've taken enough of the crap and we're not going to be dumped on the scrap heap at the whim of a liquidator or a company that claims to have gone bust. And for that reason, I asked Waterford Crystal workers to come up here tonight and address you. And I'm very happy to say we've two of them here alongside me on the left here, Michael Murphy and Dave McGuinness, and they've driven all the way up from Waterford to speak to you tonight. So we're just going to take the unusual step. Take the unusual step of putting the reason for the meeting to one side for the moment, to listen to their story, and hopefully from listening to their story people can learn a lot, you can ask them questions, and what I'd like to get out of it is the idea of building some solidarity for them, taking up workplace collections or petitions over the next while where any of us are still in jobs and still working. So I don't know which you want.